Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session. Welcome to the session two of Guide to Placement series. And our speaker, Shourya Agarwal Bhaiya, has just joined here. And also, welcome to Ankita Di. She has also joined. First of all, thank you so much to my beloved seniors, my super seniors, for joining the session, taking out some important time out of their busy schedule and doing this for the community. So Dee
Hey,
and Bhaiya,
hi,
welcome to the
everyone.
session, and you have inspired us a lot, and we'll just start in 2 to 3 minutes once people join.
Sure,
After
sure.
Sure.
before that, I'll give a basic introduction of Bhaiya and Didi. As we have all gone through what we have posted. Shaurya Bhaiya, first of all, he was from 2023 batch. I from IT department. He got placed in Oracle. It is one of the most high paying jobs on from IEM. Just be an Oracle at the most high paying jobs, and getting a job there on campus is itself an achievement. And talking about Nakita Di, she didn't really much opt for the on campus placements. She opted for off campus placements, and she got an internship opportunity in Amazon. And she is currently working as an SDA role in Flipkart. So both of their journey in diverse ways has been very inspirational and motivational in different ways. So it will be very fruitful session for you, I hope. No, it will be. I don't hope that. It has to be. So just very excited to have you all there. I think we should start. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for all joining us today. I'm again introducing our speakers, our beloved seniors, because some new members have joined us. I'm Ayush Jha. I'm the GDG-IEM lead. To be on GDG, the newly made GDG on-campus organizer, and we are very excited to have inspiring guests with us today. Ankita Kumari, an alumnus of our college, who is currently an SD at Flipkart, and Shourya Agarwal, an alumnus of our college, who is currently SD at Oracle. They will be sharing their valuable insights, guiding you all to their journey, learning how they did learn from the mistakes and how they become successful and achieving their whatever they achieved. So Ankita Di and Shaurya Bhaiya, thank you so much for being here with us today. I'd like to first of all again thank you so much for coming. And I'd like to it's very inspirational for us that people like you from a 3 tier college are getting so high. We are very discouraged by the 4 LP or 5 LPA packages, and we think that no, we can't. But you are a very good example and very inspirational example for all of us. You to have set an example that if you have the determination, you can do anything. First of all, I'd like to start with Ankita Di. Can you please share your as your we all I have already shared your introduction, but share your introduction from your side and the basic how you started from first year and how you gradually moved on from second year, third year, fourth year, and ended up in a beautiful destination of Amazon intern and Flipkart job.
Hey, hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. So, I am a 2023 pass out. I had joined IIM in 2019 in EC branch, and then I had changed my branch in second year to IT. And from in first year, basically, I didn't really have much idea about placements and data structures and algorithm. So the entire first year was about figuring out what exactly is going on here, because in first year the college was pretty strict, and I was not happy to be there, to be honest. So it was kind of a roller coaster in first year. But yeah, then uh, after first year and watching so many YouTube videos, I figured out that okay, maybe there is a option to get an off campus placement. So I started doing DSA from third semester onwards. And initially I was not doing a lot of problem solving, but gradually I increased. And in third year, mainly when I got placed in Amazon as an intern, At that time, before that, for 6 months, I was really grinding DSA, and I was studying every day for around 7 to 8 hours and solving at least 10 to 15 questions every day. And yeah, and everything that I learned was through YouTube. So yeah, that's about it.
That's really something very from the common background, like learning everything from YouTube. People think that no, this is distracting, and you have to take a course, you have to do something from very reputed courses and platforms. But yeah, again, here's an example: person learning completely everything is available from all level YouTube, and learning completely from every YouTube and getting there. So thank you for this introduction and beautiful inspirational journey, sharing this beautiful inspirational journey in a very short time. And Bhaiya, let's go with you, and please share your introduction from your side. As we all know that you are from the IT department. I'm personally from there, so I can relate to you much. And please get us through the journey you have been from first year to second year, third year, fourth year, the basic journey and getting placed at Oracle, the
Okay.
dream job and of an IM student.
Hi, everyone. As he introduced, my name is Shourya Agarwal. I too am a 23 pass out, and I too joined in 2019. And as Ankita said, I too am a branch change student. Firstly, I joined in EC in 2019, and then I got changed my branch to IT. And yeah, in the first year, as everyone says, like you enter your college, you have some expectation from the college, and coming joining IEM, like the first year was really strict. So all of those expectations were kept aside. And firstly, the college curriculum was such that they were teaching you some very basic stuffs, and from there, like you have to getting to your placement journey, you need to figure out your own way. Everyone has their own way. So in first year, I started learning C and Python, like as the college curriculum was. And in the second year, when I entered, I got to know that DSA is something that you need to focus on and you have to learn. And with DSA, you need to even focus on one of your projects, like web development or anything as such. So from second year, I started learning C++ and I started focusing on DSA. And meanwhile, I also started learning web development to get some ideas and to work on some projects, because projects are really important. As Ankita mentioned, that you have to figure out everything from YouTube. So after watching a lot of videos how to get placed in companies like these, so I started preparing for that. And one thing that all the IM student knows, that on campus placement, the best company that visits our campus is Oracle. So everyone had that feeling that you need to crack this if you want something from on campus. Otherwise, the only option is to go for off campus placements. So yeah, from there I like started talking to my seniors. They also helped me in figuring out what are the different stages of Oracle interviews and what is asked in OA round. How should your projects be? So yeah, in this session I'll share those insights with you guys also. Looking forward to the session. Over to you, Aish.
Really looking forward to that and very excited to know that. And I hope all the community members are really excited to know that, be it from first year to fourth year here. D, we'll start with you. Please share us the Amazon internship you cracked in the third year, as you mentioned. How did you land up there? What were the journeys? What were the things you actually you think you did, and you think you people should do? What are the steps you followed? How you by the networking, the DSA, the projects, the resume building, the basic Amazon. Like how did you end up as an Amazon intern?
So initially, like from year one only, Amazon was a company that I couldn't even think of getting into. It was such a big dream to have. I used to watch a lot of interview experiences on YouTube and used to think that I'll never be able to, join this company coming from a tier three college. And once the college placement started, in my mind, I had a bar set that I will not go below this no matter what company I'll be joining. So I'll not recommend this to anyone, but I was not applying to companies on campus mostly. I had only applied to two three companies on campus, and as all the IM students, my goal was also to crack Oracle. And in Oracle also, I had gone till the last round but got rejected there. And at that time, I didn't see any other way for me. because I didn't know how I'll get shortlisted in other companies. But I had applied to Amazon 1 or 2 months ago that, and I had given their OA round. So I wasn't really expecting anything at that time, but I got the mail for the second OA round for them from them. And then I cleared the second OA round, and then they asked for an on-site interview. So I went to Delhi to give an on-site interview, and interview went pretty good. So I had around 1.5 month time to prepare for the interview, and at that time I was just doing DSA day and night. I went through almost all the previous year Amazon questions on Geeks for Geeks and Lead Code. I tried solving anything and everything available on internet, whatever I could at that time, according to my capabilities. And yeah, when I went for the interview went pretty good, but still I wasn't expecting to get a positive response. But I got selected, and yeah, it was really unbelievable for me at that time that I'm actually going to intern at a company that I had dreamed of from the first year. So even like just before like 1 2 weeks ago, as my interview approached, I was sitting with Shaurya late at night and doing a lot of mock interviews to, because it was my first opportunity at one of the biggest company to give the interview. So I was very nervous, but yeah, we did a lot of mock interviews, and yeah, that's it.
It was, on hearing that, it was like goosebumps. ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी, like we can think about it, we can end up there. So, but yeah, it is a beautiful thing to even think of. It is inspirational, completely inspirational. We hear on YouTube, we see on LinkedIn, but here we are seeing a student, a senior, right from where we belong to right now, and they ended up there. So really, congratulations. It's too late for congratulations, but yeah, but yeah, really happy seeing you there. And now I'll be going to Bhaiya. Can you let us go through the on-campus Oracle rounds? Like what were the rounds, going from the coding questions, like after getting shortlisted, and the whatever the interviews around on the basic, what happens when and all.
Okay. Yeah, so Oracle has one OA round, that is online assessment. And in our time, we had four sections. So one was aptitude, reasoning, English, and then your advanced coding round. So these were the four rounds, like four sections of your one OA round. And each of the sections had their individual timers. But now the format has changed a bit. They ask coding questions mainly, and one API based question is also asked, and few MCQs are there. But in our time, it was different. So once you crack that OA round, you have technical interviews. In one day only, you'll have 3 rounds of technical interviews. And for Oracle, they had all the three as technical. And the last one, the third round, is technical plus HR. So they ask few HR questions as well. So going through the first round, in the first round, they'll ask you to introduce yourself, and then they'll ask you whatever you have done in your college life, like in your resume, whatever you have mentioned, starting with your projects, and then fundamental subjects. And then they asked me 2 coding questions in the first round. So they give you some HackerRank link, and there you have to code your like whatever questions they have given. So the difficulty of the questions is easy to medium in the first round. And like for the projects, if you have made something, like if your idea is your own, then they'll deep dive into the projects and like have a generic discussion on the project, what you have done. For me, in my first round, the interviewer was interested in knowing the database that I've used, because Oracle works on database a lot, like DBMS. So they dived into that, and then they asked me 2 questions. One was from linked list, and another one was from trees. So both the questions were easy to moderate. And like in the interview, what you should focus on is to explain your approach well, like how well you're able to explain the code that you've written. So they cross question you on that. So first round went like that. In the second round, like after 2 hours, the second round happened. In the second round, they asked me oops and DBMS. In oops, they like gave me situational questions, like whatever example you give for all the 4 pillars, they from that examples they asked me to code that example. And all that situational questions went long into that code, and I was asked to convert that into a notepad file. So I did that. After that, they asked me a few SQL queries in the second round. And after that, if you like, all the rounds are elimination round basically. So if you qualify the first round, you move on to the second, and when you qualify the second round, you move on to the final round. So in the final round, also the interviewer firstly asked me to describe the project, and later on shifted to one coding question. That was, I think, I don't remember. It was from Map or something like that. Similar question was there, and at last she asked me a few HR questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what do you expect out from Oracle? These questions are asked. So the most important thing is all these three rounds happen in one day only, and between the OA and the interview, there were only 2 days given to us to prepare. So what happened is on I remember very clearly on July 12th we got the banner that Oracle is coming to our college. On 25th we had our OA, and on 28th we had our interviews. So those that time frame was so short, and we had to cover so much. I and Ankita both used to prepare together at that time. So it was a journey. Over to you, Aish.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for sharing that deep insight and about everything about Oracle. And everyone is so excited about Oracle, ki Oracle aa rahi, Oracle mein kya hota hai and all. So it was a complete deep insight. And as you said that there's just 2 days gap between the OA and the sessions, and between different rounds of the
Absolutely.
assessment, there's very less time. And to prepare for us to getting to be ending up there, it's a different journey together. It's a different ball game completely.
Yeah.
So yeah, now moving on to Ankita Di. Just I'd like to ask, every journey starts with the first step. What do you like to, what do you say were the most important skills or habits you developed during college that help you stand out in off campus? Like, what are the basic insights you should be you must have when you are applying for off campus, or you must get selected off campus, all including DSA as you mentioned.
So, as a tier 3 student, if you will be applying to off campus jobs, the first thing that happens is shortlisting, which in itself is very tough. Like, you, to be honest, you do not have much control there. You can make your resume as good as you can, but there will always be a bias against tier 3 students, and they will not select you mostly. But if you are applying to like 30, 40 companies, and even if you get shortlisted in one or two company, and once you get the OA link, everything is on you. If you get the OA link, first you will have to clear the OA, and then whatever the technical or HR rounds will be. So I understand that getting selected or getting shortlisted is not in our hands, but if you get shortlisted anywhere, then it's totally up to you. Because after that, what I have observed is that they do not really care which college you are from. If you go through the shortlisting process, whatever interviewer will be taking your interview or whoever will be grading your OA will not be considering what your college is. They'll just see how good your problem solving skills are and how neat code you can write. That's all. So in my experience, I tried to make my resume as good as I could in college. So I mostly in for a resume you'll need to have 2 to 3 projects. Try to make some good projects. In my case, I was like exploring web development, so I had 2 to 3 web development projects, and I had added them there. But I doubt that they mostly helped. I think in some cases they might be looking to your projects, and whatever project you have, try to host it. If you can host it, great. If you can't host it, at least upload it to GitHub and add a screen recording there, or add a screenshot of how your website looks or how it functions. So if somebody even opens your project, they can't really, install the project in their laptop and then see how it works. You'll need to give them the insights there only in the GitHub. But if you can host it, that's great. In my case, I hadn't really hosted any projects. I had uploaded all of them to GitHub, and I had made sure to write a good description, all the technology that I had used, and to attach all these screenshots. So projects are the main part. Apart from that, you can obviously add how many questions you have solved. If you are into CP, if you have any good ranks, you can mention there in your resume. And I think that's about it that they consider in technical hiring. Apart from that, you can add other achievements, but from my opinion, it does not really matter. If you add certifications there, I don't think that matters much. So after the shortlisting process, almost all the companies will send you an OA link if you get shortlisted. So OA is mostly a bit difficult than whatever your interview will be. If you what the process that I used to follow is that if I get shortlisted in any company, first I'll just go through internet and YouTube and Reddit and lead code wherever I can find anything related to that company's hiring process, be it SD1, SD intern. I will go through everything that is present on internet to just get an idea, like what level the company is asking questions in. If I see the questions and I feel like, okay, this is pretty doable, then I'll just work on whatever I knew at that point. And if I saw some new topics, for example, if they are asking graph questions and I haven't really studied graph properly, then I'll try to make sure, if I have the time, then I'll go through graphs and learn how to solve graph questions. So that was my process. And after the OA gets, if you clear the OA, then mostly for full-time SD1 roles, you will get two technical interviews and one HR round. And for SD intern interviews, you will mostly get one technical interview and one HR round. This is the process that most of the companies follow. So for SD intern and SD1 rounds, there is not much difference in difficulty level. It's just that rounds are less in SD1. So if you like in my case, everything, all the important topics I had studied from Striver. And if you study all the playlists of Striver, like tree, graph, DP, everything, and you solve a lot of questions, then most probably you will be able to clear the interview. I'm not saying that you should just go through the questions and memorize it. That will not help you, because in many interviews, if you are asked a question, if interviewer is not satisfied, they'll tweak the question a little bit and see if you can solve that or not, or write the code or not. And even like while giving the interview, you have to make sure that you communicate very clearly, like whatever you are thinking, you have to tell them that, okay, this is where I'm coming from, this is where my solution is coming from. You cannot directly just go to a question and directly write the solution, because then the interviewer will think that, okay, you have just memorized the solution and you are just coming here and writing it. So you have to justify like where your solution is coming from. Be it, if you can just give them a quick brute force approach, like, okay, I'm thinking of this, but this is taking a lot of time complexity and space complexity, so maybe we can do this, and then you can move to the optimal approach. Mostly interviewers will not ask you to write like code out the brute force approach unless it is a very long interview. But yeah, you have to justify your solution. You cannot just directly jump to the optimal solution. Any YouTube video that you will see, that what are the most important things that you have to follow in a interview in a big company, then these are the guidelines that most of the people will give you. And of course, code quality also matters. You have to keep your names very intuitive of the variables. Like if you're reading it, you should know what this variable is used for. So try to make your code as neat as possible. Try to make it look like a professional programmer has written it. So yeah, these are some of the pointers that you can follow going through an on campus sorry off campus interview. And the biggest thing is getting rejected. So if you are applying off campus, you have to you know face the rejections, because most of the time you will get rejected. Like in my case, I think I had applied to 100 jobs, and I was just used to getting the rejection mails. I used to just open my phone and see, okay, another rejection, and just leave it at there. So I understand that if you are literally like aiming for a company, then it is very heartbreaking when you get rejected. But you have to move on from there, and keep applying and keep giving interviews as much as you can. And obviously getting referrals, I think everyone knows this. Like if you are applying to an off campus company, try getting referral, although I am not sure how much it works as of now. But if I think even if it gives you like 5 to 10% over others, then it is better to get a referral. And if you're applying to small startups, then try to reach their founders and CEOs directly. Most of the time they will reply you on LinkedIn. So mainly you'll have to shortlist your companies very carefully, And while shortlisting, there will be two three categories of company. The first category will be the companies that are very big, like Amazon, Microsoft, Google. Then the second category will be like mid to well established companies, like they do not have more than 100 employees maybe. And then the first category will come the startups that have recently gotten funding and have like 10 people in their team right now. So the third category of company, even if you like message their CEO and they have an opening, they will revert back to you. Try finding all the employees that you can find from their companies and reach out to all of them, like I need a referral. So the smaller startups and like mid companies, mostly they give you a direct OA link or interview link if you are getting an internal referral. It is not possible in the MNCs, but yeah, the smaller companies will give you an interview directly just through the referral. So yeah, you can, for applying, of course, there's LinkedIn. Like keep your eyes open, whatever whoever is posting, like my company is hiring, you have to, apply through that. And then there is Well Found. There are two, three more sites. I don't exactly remember right now. But yeah, my process used to be that I used to wake up in the morning and whatever new job openings were there, be 10, 15, 20, I used to apply to all of them. And before sleeping, I used to apply to 10, 15 job openings. So you'll have to ingrain it in your routine and just make it part of the process, instead of something that, okay, I have to go into company A only. That will discourage you if you get rejected from company A. So you have to keep your list open and apply to as many companies as possible for you. So yeah.
Complete detail, valuable insights, and the you had established a complete placement cell for your itself yourself. That you had made a complete placement cell for yourself, type of companies, startups, what you need to do, and everything completely in detailed, and everything so organized. So guys, along with studies, along with doing DSA, along with preparing for aptitude, these are the important things which we miss on. We miss on applying to various companies, internships. We miss out on that, and we see the colleagues that how they, even if they were not better than others, they have achieved that. How did it happen? Our eyes were closed. We didn't see the openings and we didn't apply to that. Okay. Now, moving on to Bhaiya, I'll ask you a question. What common mistakes do candidates make in technical interview rounds of companies, and how can they be avoided? Also, one more question: like how to manipulate the person who is interviewing according to your resume, according to your strength. It is definitely that you have added uh, the strength on your resumes, but still sometimes it may happen that the person interviewing you might go out of the range, might go out of your radar. Then how to manipulate, or how to bring that person in your radar and make them focus on your strength, and bring that person and concluding everything that, yeah, I'm good at that.
Okay. So, firstly, I'll answer your second question that you said manipulating the interviewer. So, it all depends on one thing, that is your introduction. So, once you're introducing yourself, you should focus on your strong zones, like whatever you've prepared, what's your project, and what are your fundamental subjects that you're strong at. So, you'll mention everything in your introduction. And there are 90% chances that the interview starts from where you ended. Like, whatever you introduced yourself from there, whatever you have explained, he'll start asking you questions from that. So you should have a clear mindset that the interviewer is there to hire you. He's not there to just reject people. He's investing his time. He has an opening. He wants to hire people. So whatever you are good at, interviewer is going to test you on that only. Firstly, you should have this mindset that whatever you have prepared, interview is going to revolve around that, and whatever is asked after that, like after your circle, whatever you've prepared, anything outside that, then you should just clearly be honest and say that you have not prepared this, or you haven't focused much on that part. However, these are the things that you focused on, so your interview is going to revolve around those things. However, this is not always working. Like, you cannot leave major things that are obviously expected in an interview. Like, you cannot say that I have not prepared DSA, don't ask me that. That cannot be a point. But you can, however, say that some portion of DSA that you're not strong at, you can say these are not my strong points. However, these are my strong points. So this is a good chance, like how you can manipulate the interviewer. And if it is going out of range, like what happened with me, I have done coding in my C++. The language that I chose was C++, and I knew Python. I didn't had any background of Java. So while answering an oops question, the interviewer went to Java. Like he's saying, is multi-threading possible in Java? So now I have not prepared Java, and that I've told the interviewer before, but still he is asking that question. So how you can answer is like what I did. I said I code in C++, so I know the concept in C++, and it is a concept. But I'm not sure about Java. However, I'm making a guess that if it is a concept, it should be there in Java too. So that's a smart way of saying the interviewer that you're making a guess, but you're saying it to the interviewer on his face that you're making a guess because you have prepared in C++ and you're not sure about Java. So in this way, even if your answer is wrong, you're not going to get a red flag for that because you've made sure that you're making a guesswork. So it's upon you, like how you take that question from the interviewer. Now, coming to the first question that you asked, that was what were the common mistakes that generally people do? So there are a lot of common mistakes that you find in your, like if you Google it, you will find a lot of them. I'll start with, firstly, whenever the question is asked to you, firstly, try to understand the exact question that the interviewer is trying to ask you. Like be very clear with the question and then start approaching the solution. What happens is most of the time we listen to half of the question and we start solving it, and then we got to know that, oh, interviewer was asking something else. The second thing is you should be very clear with what you're writing. As Ankita mentioned, like when you're coding, the interviewer and you should be in the same page. Like with each line, whatever you're coding, you have to explain it to the interviewer and he should understand it. Like you can see your feedback if you're most of the times, even if it is an online interview, you can see the face of the interviewer and you can take the feedback that you're going on the right step or not. And is the interviewer able to understand what you're coding? So that is very important. Even if you're coding it right, like according to you are coding it in the correct way, but the interviewer is not able to understand it, then there is no point because you just have to make the interviewer understand your code. That's your only motto in the entire interview. So if you try that, that is added benefit. Next thing is like if you're faking on your resume, if you're writing something that you have not done, be very sure about it that whether I should write this or whether I should not write this. If you have not done some projects and then you have still mentioned it, you should at least have the outline of the project, how it is working. Sometimes it happens that people have not made the project entirely, but they still mention that they have made this project. So if the interviewer goes deep inside it, then you're going to get stuck. So I would say avoid that. Instead, write something which you have worked on. Even if it is a simple project, doesn't matter. It should have basic, if you know the basics of web development and a little bit about database, you can make simple projects as well. And you can explain that instead of faking an AI and ML project. And if the interviewer knows about AI ML and starts cross questioning you, then that is a bad impression. So do not fake it into in your resume. The next point is being rigid with the approach that you are trying to say. Like what happens is the interviewer gave you a question and you're trying to answer the question in your way. However, the interviewer is not aligning with the code that you're writing. He's not able to understand and he is giving you some feedbacks. So try to incorporate those feedbacks into your code. It is not always that even if you're writing the code, like you know the code and you're writing it correctly, but the interviewer is giving you some feedbacks. So try to take that feedback and incorporate in your code or explain the interviewer your approach. So in that way, the interview would go smooth and you can avoid these few mistakes. That's it. Any questions? People were typing or raising hands. Ritvika, you have any question? Okay, over to you, Ayush.
We would be taking questions from the chat. No problem. We would be taking all the questions from you, whatever you are asking in question answer section or DM section. No problem. We'll ask everything from our guests or speakers, bhaiya or seniors. Okay. Moving on to you, Didi. As you have already shared very deep insights of everything, as you have already done, but going specifically on CV preparation, because the first step of getting shortlisted is CV preparation. After the referral part is different, and the you should building a proper CV which can get you shortlisted. And what are the useful tips from you for the CV preparation based on like someone has worked on something based on their skills, to what extent they can fake it, one thing, and also what are the useful steps as I mentioned for the particularly CV preparation.
Okay, so as for the CV preparation, as I said, that shortlisted is shortlisting is not in our hands. Especially for big companies, you cannot really be sure that you'll get shortlisted unless you have something very impressive in your CV. But if you are talking about mid to new startups, in there, like, they do shortlist based on CV, and they mostly hire based on what tech stack that they need. Like, in bigger companies, they do not really care about your tech stack. If they are hiring for a Java role and you have C++ in your resume, they do not really care, like, because they have a mentality that you can come and learn Java after joining the company. But startups expect you to know at least you should have some projects in the technology that they're hiring for. So in that case, what you can do is, if you are suppose you are applying to 5 startups or 5 mid-sized companies, and in the job details you see some 2 3 technologies that you haven't worked in, or in fact all the technologies that you see you haven't worked in. So what I used to do, I used to just add those technologies in my CV and in my cover letter and apply. If I get a message or get a reply, then I used to go and learn those technologies before the first interview. So that is one thing that you can do, which is not very ideal. Second thing, what you can do is that whatever your domain is, you can just apply into those companies. So suppose if you have mainly worked in React and you have done front end web development, then just shortlist the companies or openings based on whatever web developers roles are present there. And if you have 2 3 good projects in your CV, then there is a chance that you will get shortlisted there. And in these companies, they also expect a cover letter. So what I used to do, that I used to take the entire job description and used to take entire CV and copy paste it to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to write a cover letter for me. Like, just so ChatGPT used to write very good cover letters based on, like, it will relate whatever and whatever the job description is, and write a very flawless cover letter based on that. And you can just copy paste it there. If you want to add a personal touch, that is good, but I think if you are applying to a lot of companies every day, it is not possible to write cover letter for every company. So that is what I used to do. So initially, if you do not have any experience, it is really, like, very uh, not really, you cannot really make sure that however good of a CV you have, you'll get shortlisted or not. If you are doing CP, I think that is one of the areas that comes under impressive achievements that you can add in your CV. If you are doing CP for a long time, and if you have good rankings or good ratings, then yeah, definitely, even in big companies, interviewers sorry HRs do look into those achievements and can shortlist you based on that. Anyone has any questions? Is there anything in the chat? I think not. Yeah, anything else?
I'll be taking questions from them, like whatever the
Sure,
questions there.
sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, anything else that you wanted to know regarding CV?
Exactly. On that specific thing, about you, you already said that. I had already planned to ask you, like, specifically, uh, according to the companies, the modification. You have already said that, like, how to modify your resume according to a specific company. How much time do you need to give that? So is that important, or you can just share your complete details and complete knowledge in the resume?
Okay, so no, no, no. Complete detail is not possible in your resume, because it is recommended to have a one-page resume. Because if you have a two-page resume, really nobody is looking into the second page. So try to have only a one-page resume. So suppose if you have your expertise in AI ML also, you do web development also, and you also do some other technology projects. So suppose you have 1 or 2 projects in this, 1 or 2 projects in this. So what mostly is recommended to do, suppose if you are applying for a role A where your one of the technologies are needed, and you have made maybe 2 projects in that, try to highlight the projects or keep the projects that is related to the job description above in your CV. Okay, so if you are applying for a web development role or a backend engineer role, then there is really no need to add an AI ML project there just to elongate your CV. So it is a good practice to keep your projects limited to 3. If they are really good and can get accommodated in one page, then you can also add 4 projects. But try to make sure that you only add or highlight the projects that is related to the job description that you are applying to. So if suppose if you are applying to an AIML engineer role tomorrow, then just remove the web development projects or keep them down and add your AIML projects on the top. So in that case, like, it's really not exactly a very 100% sure way to get shortlisted, but yeah, it definitely improves your chances.
Thank you so much, G. Thank you so much, G. Many of us miss out on that. We just make a resume and keep applying to different companies coming on the LinkedIn or whatever sources and all. So modification according to different companies is important, as you mentioned, and this is a key insight which we all need to know before applying and all. So now, thank you, Di. Now moving on to Bhaiya, question from you, as you are a full stack developer. I'll specifically ask you, when did you start focusing on web dev domain, and what kind of full stack projects make the most impact during placements?
Okay. Yeah, so I started web development when I was in my second year, like end of the second year. Meanwhile, I was studying DSA as well. So, like along with DSA, you should start working on your projects as well. So I started with HTML, CSS for the front end, and it depends. For backend, you can choose which language you like. Like for example, if you like Java, then you can go for React, Spring, Spring Boot, those domain. And if you like Python, then you can go for Django and similar stuff, which are there for web development using that language. So I was very interested in Python. I was learning Python in first year, like from a course on NPTEL. So I took that course, and that really gave me a very good understanding of how Python is working, and like it was really a good course. And with that, I got to understand about like I made basic projects like gaming projects, very basic, like it's work on a terminal. It's not even deployed. Those kind of word game kind of projects I've learned in my first year. So in the second year, I thought of I'll be doing web development having Python as the background because this is something I enjoy. So once you like figure out that for yourself, like if you're learning Java, then if you go to Spring and Spring Boot, you'll enjoy that. But when I started learning Spring and Spring Boot, it felt like I don't have much background of Java, so this is not something that I'm enjoying. So I shifted to Django and I worked on Django with along with the web development, that front end thing that I've learned. So with that, I started making normal web development projects, but I initially had an idea of a project in my mind that was like whenever you write something, I'll give you a brief idea of what my project was. So whenever you write something like quotation or small stories that you write, so you have your imagination with it, right? Like whatever you're writing, you have a background with that in your head. So what I made was there was a you can write your quotations over there and you can make a poster out of it. Like you can just give the blank text and you can then move on to get some images related to that text. So from that images, you can select whatever image you like, and that text would come on top of that image and become a poster. Like you see many times in Instagram, there are background images are there, and on top of that, something is written. So I made that kind of a project using Django. And in web development, if you see key, what are like what kind of project do the companies expect? So like for Oracle, I'll talk. For them, it was they wanted a project in which you have incorporated database and you're querying the data from the database and deploying, like displaying the result on your website. So those are very simple projects that are expected, and added advantage would be if you can use any of the advanced tech like AI, ML, or anything like NLP or automation. These are very different kind of domains which are there you can explore. For first and second year students, you have a lot of time. You can explore AI, ML, and different tech stacks that you have. There are automation is there. Then you have NLP, natural language processing, which is a part of ML. So all those different domains are there. Whatever domain you like, you can research about it a bit, and then you can incorporate some bits of it in your web development project. No one is expecting from a college graduate to have a complete big ML project. That is like not possible if you're not doing it from the very first year. So you can have a basic web development project in which you can have just one small functionality like a chatbot or a small functionality to get customization that you can do for your website. Those kind of projects are given importance. Like what happened with me in my interview round was, I was explaining my project and the interviewer liked the project, so I had to screen share and show the project because I used automation in my project a bit. And the company Oracle used to work on automation. They have a team, and currently I'm in a team where I'm doing automation also. So they like that portion of it, and they asked me to elaborate on that. So similarly, you can have something that you like can be incorporated in your project, and that would make you stand out. I was going to the questions here, like some people have said what are the wow factor that can be added to your resume, and then there was one more question that what kind of projects do like you should have for Oracle. So yeah, that's what I'm answering. For Oracle or for any company, if you're going for on campus interviews, you can have a basic web development project in which you have incorporated something from these tech stacks. That could be an added advantage. Even if you are not having it, a basic project would even go like work. It is good for you, but then the interviewer will focus more on your coding part, that is the DSA questions. So it is on you how you can guide your interview. Like if the interview is focused more on projects, then that's your strong point, right? Because you have worked on your project, so you know inside out of it, so you can explain that better. So if you spend more time on the projects, then there would be less time for DSA. So it is based on you. If you spend more time on project, you'll be asked one DSA question, and if your projects are not taking that much time, you may be asked more DSA questions. So that's it.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for this. All of you who have been interested in web development, Bhaiya cracked Oracle, and with that, he was a complete full stack developer. So he's a complete example of balancing projects and balancing DSA. So everyone is like dev or DSA, the more trending topic in our community. Like how much to do this, how much to do that. I will
You have
ask
to
that.
continuously practice your DSA. Like DSA, you have to do one or two questions every day to brush up
Yeah.
everything that you know. That is a must thing. And web development is something that once you're starting, you can invest 1 or 2 months, like more, push your time for web development. And in that time, you can solve one or two questions. And when your company is about to come, then you can focus more time on DSA and less time on your projects. Like after 2, 3 months, once your project is completed, you don't have to go back again and again. It's just before the interview, it will take you 1 or 2 days to just go through the project and how you have to present your project. That's it.
Thank you, Bhai. I was about to ask you, like, you have given an example of time management between DSA, web dev, and projects.
Yeah.
So now we will moving to Ankita Di and just specifically ask you, how and when did you frame your mind that you will be opting for off campus? In what year and what point of time? How did you realize that? And did it ever come to your mind that you have also option of opting for gate, like opting for gate, getting a good IIT and getting placed from there, getting 40 LP, 50 LP from there, that was also a way. So how did you conclude and decide on that?
So, first of all, when I joined the college in first year, I didn't really have much expectations of getting placed in a very good company. In my mind, the highest I could go was get placed in TCS Digital, and I would be happy. Like, if I get a 7.5 lakh package, I would be very happy. But as the years progressed, and I saw even my seniors getting placed in very good colleges, very good companies, that motivated me, and that made me think that if they are getting off campus placements in such good companies, then why can't I try? It's not something that is unachievable, definitely, because other people from our college only are getting placed. So if I can know how they are preparing and what strategy they are following, and if I can also better my problem solving skills, then maybe I can also get placed. So by the second year end, I had made up my mind that no matter what, I will not be joining a company beneath 10 LPA. The lowest I will go is 10 LPA. In a very bad condition, I can go to a 7.5 LPA company for maybe 2 3 months, but then I'll switch to a better company. That was the bar in my mind that I had set. So that is why all the companies that were coming into college, like 3 LPA, 4 LPA, 5 LPA, I wasn't really applying to them. I had only applied to Oracle, and then there is another company that comes, Lexmark. I had applied to both of these companies. Apart from that, I had also applied to TCS Digital, but I didn't really interview for them. So this was my I mean, now that I think about it, it's really stupid, because if I hadn't gotten any job, I would have been jobless. But at that time, in my idealistic approach, this is what I was thinking at that time. I was way over my head, if I would say. And as for the gate and cat, I never really had an interest in pursuing MBA because I like the software engineering and problem solving and DSA and everything. And if I would have given cat and joined an IIM. If I would have, then it would have totally changed my career path, and I didn't want to do that. And as for GATE, when I had joined the college only and I was going through the first semester, then only I had, thought that this is the last I am studying in my life. I am never going to study after BTech ever again, no matter how bad it gets. I have to get a good job after, BTech. I cannot go through 2 years more of college. And if I like, even my opinion right now is that if you are getting a good job, even 10 12 LPA after BTech, then take it. There is no need to pursue MTech. At least that's what I think, because even if you are pursuing MTech from a very good college, then even if you are getting placed like maybe a 40 LPA or 50 LPA job after doing 2 years more of education and spending more money on fees, then at that time you can be gaining experience as an SD1 from BTech and can get promoted to an SD2 after 2 or 2.5 years. So even after MTech, you join the company as a SD1 only, and there is not really much package difference between a BTech graduate and MTech graduate. So that is my opinion. Personally, that is what I think. So yeah, Gate and Cat were totally out of the question. Was there anything else? Did I miss anything?
No, it was completely that. Like, how did you
Okay.
decide on that? Because it's a very very confusing thing. People have their minds, and you cleared it out very clearly that no, it was what sharing your opinion on that, exactly figuring out practically, like after 2 years of experience, my package could be that, and
And once you get into the industry, the biggest thing is that once you get into the industry, it's easier to switch than to aim for a very large package initially. So if you are even joining an okay startup maybe at the start of the career, and then your resume shortlisting chances first of all increase very much if you have added, if your company has a good name, and if you have added all the details in your LinkedIn, then there is a chance that many of the recruiters will be approaching you for their openings. And it happens, like it's easier to switch once you get into the industry. Getting into the industry is hard, but once you get into the industry, it's easier to switch. So all that, the 2 years that you will be spending in a college studying almost the same things again, doing the same things again, spending more money, then better than that, that you can get into industry, become a better software engineer in those 2 years. And at that time you will be eligible to apply for an SD2 role in other companies and with much higher package. So that is my opinion. Otherwise, if some people want to pursue MTech, it is totally upon themselves. But this is how, this is what I believe.
intact, compact belief of yourself, and you, as you shared it with clarity, many people would have their doubts cleared now. Now it was completely like I have asked many of my seniors who are at good positions. They had their different opinions, like you can do that, but the as you said, the very practical thing that uh, you will have 15 lpn starting, 11 lpn starting. After 2 years maybe you'll have 25 lpa to 30 lpa, and after getting into IITs again starting at 35. It's kind of similar, and it's all the person's choice how the person opts for it.
I mean, there
uh,
is only one exception. If you are planning to specialize in a specific domain in MTech, if that is your goal and you want to go into research fields and everything, then definitely MTech is the way for you. But if you are just going to pursue MTech just so that you can get a better package, then I don't think it makes sense unless you already have a good job. If you do not have a good job, then obviously there are other ways to tackle the situation, one of these being pursuing MTech. But yeah, unless you don't have any job, I don't think pursuing MTech is a very good idea.
Thank you, Deep, for that clear and very clear answer. And Bhaiya, now moving on to you. What are your advices for pre-final year and finalist pre-final year, like third year or fourth year students? And what should be the basic roadmaps which first and second year students should follow from the beginning? First of all, please share in the insights on the pre-final year and the final year students, considering some different situations, considering different situation of students, like some might be starting in third year, some might be at the intermediate positions, and some might have a good grasp on their skills.
Okay. So to answer question, the pre-final year and final year students should firstly focus on DSA. That is very, very, very important for anyone. So even if you have not started DSA, if you have the command over the language, then you can start DSA by following a very structured roadmap. And there are many roadmaps given by Striver and Lovebird, but they have those sheets, SD sheets. These contain specific programs like 150 or 200 questions, and if you are good with that questions, there's a high chance that in the interview you'll be asked a similar question, because those are the standard problems. So you can opt for that. Those are really helpful. Those have only like 15-20 questions from each of the data structure, and that would help you to crack your interview if you have less time. And if you have not prepared your project and you are in your third year, then I would suggest you to like research about different domains like web development or something, and then get those projects from GitHub or YouTube. You can find YouTube videos, a lot of videos regarding, they explain the entire project, how it is working. So even if you're not making a complete project, try to understand the entire project and take that project in your resume. You should know the outline of the project and how it is working. So that is a good way to escape from not learning the entire thing. So these are there for the pre-final year students who have not prepared much, and the people who have already have a good project, then they can focus on their DSA and they can focus on something to improve your project, like to add something. As I said in the initial times, you can add one of the advanced tech into your project, incorporate something. The most simple thing is you can add a chatbot if you have made a web development project, say for example library management system. So you can add a chatbot which has 5 to 6 questions, like you can answer, for example, is this book available, or what is the price of this book. Similar, these kind of questions you can add. And finding the answers are very simple. You can just do a search onto your database and get that data and present it in a form of chat. Like whatever your questions you're getting, try to use some basic NLP things, like you can remove the stop words and get what the question is, and then make a query to your database and get the data from it. So these kind of simple integration of smart tech can enhance your project. And DSA is something that you should not take lightly. You should focus on it. So for college placements, DSA is everything. Firstly, you should be sorted with your DSA, then your projects, and then comes your fundamental subjects. So you should take up fundamental subjects. Even if you have not studied completely, you can go through the interview questions. There are many interview questions from different websites like Java Point and GFG. These have the entire subject divided into different sections, and from there you can easily study those. Or you can directly go for top 50 interview questions. Just before your interview, you can just go through them subject wise. So those have a compact list of questions which will give you an idea about what the subject is. So these three things are very important. If you are good with these three, you will be good with your interview. And one more thing is very important, which I found lacking with my colleagues, was the way you communicate your answers to the interview. So you should focus on that as well. Like you should be able to communicate properly whatever is there in your head. If like sometimes it happens, you know the answer to the question, but you're not able to explain it to the interviewer because of nervousness or something. So you should go for mock interviews. Like I and Ankita used to do this mock interview thing before the interviews, as she also mentioned before. Those really help. Like you're trying to explain something and still you're missing on something, your friend can help you in the mock interview. Like he can tell you that you missed on this part, you missed on that one, you can explain this better. So those gives you advantage to others who are going to face the interview for the first time. So mock interviews are really a good thing. You can try that. These are the things for pre-final and final year students. And what was the second question?
We have like basic roadmap for first year and second year students. Like many
Okay.
of them have what to do this, what to do at, and all. They have very basic questions and can clear that.
Yeah. So I went through one of this huge question that was asked by Saraswata, I think. So he or she was mentioning that we have different languages. We learn about the language, we learn about the grammar, and then how do we write the paragraphs. So basically that was the question what I could figure it out. So once firstly you should learn the language, whatever language you feel like. And there was also a question like what type of language do we prefer for DSA. So there are two programming language which are really important, C++ and Java. And you can also opt for Python. Like in the interview, the interviewer won't judge you if you code in any of these three languages. It's fine. But my recommendation is either go for C++ or Java, because that will give you more insight about the language and how the code is written. In Python, what happens is many predefined functions are there which you can use directly and reach to a solution much faster. So it's important to focus on C++ or Java to understand the subject better. So you can start with the language, then you can learn OOPS, object-oriented programming. These two, when you learn, you will have a command over the questions. Like whenever you're facing a question, you will have a roadmap in your head how you can progress through the question. So to answer her question or his question, you can what happens is you need to write algorithm for the question first. Like whatever question you are getting, try to figure out how you can solve, like how can you can reach to the solution in simple words. You can write in steps, step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. These are the ways which I'll do, and then reach to a final solution. So once you figure that algorithm out, then you can implement the same thing in your code. So that is the best way to approach any question, any new question if you're facing for the first time and you have time, like you're in the first or second year. So try to write that algorithm and then jump into the code. So that will give you, that will help you a lot to be on track. What happens is sometimes we are writing something and then we forget what was the next step. You have to again go to the question. So it's better write an algorithm and then try to write the code. So this will help you to, finalize your code and write it in a proper way. For final year and pre-final year students, I won't recommend you to spend your time in writing algorithm. Instead, what you can do is in your code, you can add comments that this, you can write 1 line or 2 line comment that this function is going to do this, or these few lines are going to do that. In that way, your code readability increases. And also that Ankita mentioned, like variable names should be readable. It should give some meaning out of it. So if you make those things, your code would be structured and it will be more readable. So for first and second year students, I'll summarize it. You should focus on your coding language, then try to learn OOPS. And while solving the question, go for algorithm first and then the coding part of it. And apart from that, you can research about the tech stacks that you're interested in. Try to like spend 1 hour or 2 hour learning about the tech stack. What is AI? What is ML? What is cloud? How it is working? You can spend your time there, and then choose something which you like. One of these advanced tech. You're not supposed to learn everything. You can just to take one of these and master that. So that would be helpful.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you so much for clearing their doubts. The first years and second years are very creative type of doubts. The very a lot of creativity comes in the question, and it's really beautiful. I hope your creativity doesn't get finished by ending up your BTech journey. uh, Moving on to a question from Ankita Di. How do we identify a question from that is a question from a first to second year, Sangram Kesari Patra. How do we identify fake startups? As there are few companies that are not authentic, but they call themselves as a startup and they ask for money to apply for the interviewing rounds and then never contact you.
First of all, never pay any money for any interview round or OA round. That is the first red flag. If any company or any person is asking you to pay money to, appear for their company rounds, just never go near that company ever again. And in terms of, identifying fake startups, it's mostly if you see any startup, for example, if I am applying to startup A, first of all, try to search on LinkedIn how many employees they have listed on LinkedIn. If it is a legit company, there will be at least you'll find 10 people, unless it's a very new startup, you'll at least find 10 employees from that startup in LinkedIn. Just message them all. That is what I used to do. I used to message them all, ask them about how the work life balance is there, what tech stack they use. And if it is a funded startup, they will be listed somewhere. Either you'll find one or two Google articles about them. Just so if I usually used to apply for startups from Well Found. There they have to mention all the details, like when they got the funding, who funded them. So from there you can do your research. I mean, the fake startups are very less, unless you are talking about paying money stuff. Never pay money for sitting on any placement process or for any company. That is just a way to scam you. Like, I had gotten selected from a company, like I received a selection message from a company a while back, and later I found out that, oh, it's not a legit company, they are just trying to scam you. Although I didn't participate enough till getting scammed, but I found something fishy about the company, because there were literally no employees listed on LinkedIn. There was only one person listed on LinkedIn. So I just went to Reddit and asked if anybody has ever applied to this company or work in this company. Then I got to know from Reddit that 2 3 people also replied to me and told me that, oh, they have been contacted by this company, and somebody paid them 8,000 rupees, somebody paid them 15,000 rupees, and then they never replied back. So because I sensed that something is fishy initially only, so I didn't even go through the process entirely. So yeah, you have to be aware, but mostly if you are applying through well found or any reputed sites, unless I think in intern shala there are many fake jobs, but if you are applying through LinkedIn, or if a legit person is posting the job opening, then there is a very low chance of it being a fake startup. But yeah, never pay money. Even if it's a fake startup and you give the interview, there is really no harm, unless of course you pay them money for anything. So just never pay money. That is my one advice.
The one question to you, one question from a junior, from the first year. When should one start DSA and CP, and what should be the quantity and quality of our DSA and CP knowledge? Like balance thing in both.
DSA and CP, both
CP.
of these.
Uh,
Okay, so for starting problem solving, the first step is to learning programming language. You can start with any programming language, but as Shaurya also mentioned, that either you should opt for C++ or Java. So first get your command on that language. Once you get a command on that language, you need to at least study the basics of DSA before you actually start solving the problems. So in my case, I had studied from my code school. I am guessing there are much better tutorials available right now in YouTube. But when I was in second year, then this was the best channel to learn about the basics of DSA. So once you understand what array is, what string is, what all these jargon words that you hear about, what these are, after that you can start solving the problem. In my case, I was solving problems from Lubbubber's sheet. It had 450 questions. So in my third semester, I had made a timetable that every day I'll do at least 5 questions. So every day I used to sit and do at least 5 questions. If there were like many easy questions involved, then I would at least do 7 questions, but 5 was the minimum. So I used to at least devote 3 to 4 hours to solving DSA questions, and then every day around 1 hour to learn web development or building my project. So this is how you will also need to balance things. You cannot choose either or. You'll have to balance both the things, but of course DSA will take the priority, because learning web development or something is important. But if you do not know the DSA, you will not even go to the interview round to explain the web development, or however much knowledge you have. So you should always give like 70 to 80% of your time to learning DSA, and then 20% of your time to whatever technology you are exploring and making projects. As for CP, this is one of my regrets, that I didn't really explore CP in my college years. So if you can start early, just start early. I think you can start with lead code contests. They have, I think, bi-weekly contest, and then there is one weekly contest. So you can start from there if you do not understand everything about CP, and get overwhelmed by learning and reading everything about CP. But you can start from lead code contests, start little by little, and then you can move to code forces or code shift. Just give the contests. As long as you're participating for the contests, and after the contest, whatever is within your capability, try to solve those questions after the contest, if you're not able to solve them within the contest. So this in my time, I didn't really pay much attention to CP, and by the time when I really wanted to do CP, it was really late and I didn't have much time to do CP. But if you are in first year, 2 year, second year, you have a lot of time. So yeah, try to devote some of your time to CP as well, because you know if you are doing CP, then cracking the OAs will be much easier for you, because whatever level of questions you will be doing, this OA questions will be either below that level or similar to that level. But if you are just focusing on interview based preparation, then you do not really need to do CP. But yeah, for clearing OAs, you need to do a little bit higher level of DSA, which will come under CP. You are mute, Ayush.
Really a very good clarity between the balance of CP and DSA, how much both is important, because many it is it's still web development and DSA, balancing them out, differentiating them both. It's a easier thing. But when we talk about CP and DSA, it becomes a tricky thing to involve, like what to do and what to opt for, how much to balance and all. So it was a critical question, but you answered it beautifully, and you
So, like, this is especially for first and second years. Like, if you are in third year, you do not have time for CP. So, yeah, focus all of your time on DSA, because now, if you will try to enter into CP, it will take most of your time, and you will not be able to give your focus and time for the main interview process and main interview preparation. But if you are in first and second year, please utilize that time to get into CP. I will highly
Exactly.
recommend it, because people who have done CP, and even in our batch, people who were from CP background or were doing CP, they were able to solve questions much faster than
First.
us. Yeah. And they were able to find solutions to the harder problems that we couldn't even understand, like what are we doing here. So yeah, if you can get into CP, please try to give contests from first year only.
Bhaiya, if you have anything to add on that.
Yeah, basically she covered everything. Like if you have to start CP, you should start in first and second year. I even remember that when I was in second year, there was a trend. Like everyone was solving Code Chef, and I used to also enter into the contest. And that time I just had the knowledge of Python. I didn't know anything else. So I was able to solve one or two questions. There were set of 7 or 8 questions in the Code Chef contest. Monthly contests were there. So one or two questions were based on like just if you have the knowledge of programming, you can solve those questions. You don't need DSA to solve those. So I was able to solve only one or two questions out from there. But later I got to understand that for interviews and to get selected into company, CP is not a must do thing. So later I shifted to DSA, and when I started learning DSA, there was no time to go back to CP. So it is advised that you are once you're starting early, then you have time to get into this CP thing as well. But if you don't have time, it is like not recommended for third year. So it's basically not recommended. You should focus on DSA only.
That's clear intact from Bhaiya. Bhaiya, a question from you. Like Dee has already answered that. Like what are the benefits of Gate and whether one should opt on that. That was a very clear answer. But
Mhm.
a question from one of the students: if a like many of your colleagues or batchmates or seniors would have prepared for gate and would have cracked that and would have landed in IITs.
Yep.
So if a student wants to pursue higher studies, and
Mhm.
how he should be balancing the gate preparation and placement preparation together, uh, like some people have a tension that if I won't be able to crack gate, should I should be having a backup. They had a very clear and clear mindset that no, I'd be opting for off campus placements no matter what happens.
Mm.
But the students who have a fear that no, what happens if that things happen, what happens if I don't crack gate.
Okay. So to answer your question, there are like firstly you should be clear in your mind that you want to join a company after your BTech or you want to pursue your higher studies. So if that clarity is there, then it is easier for you to dive your time where you want to go. But if you're not clear with what you want to do, then if you want like if you're not clear what you want to do, I would suggest that go for placements, take up a package, and then you have time to prepare for gate. Like you can appear for gate in your third year as well as in your fourth year, and if you want, you can appear after that also. Probably you can attempt gate after that also. So you have time to take like select what you want to do. But if you're very focused, you want to attempt for gate, then I would say prepare for gate. Devote your time into your fundamental subjects. Learn different computer networks, OS, oops, all the subjects. Prepare well. Learn from Gate Smashers. They are very good YouTube channels. Prepare from there and devote your time towards Gate. And what if gate is not done? Then you have companies like in IEM, you have many companies with package between 3 to 7, which do not ask you DSA to that depth. You can just appear for the interview with a basic knowledge, a basic project, and that would do the job. For TCS, they don't even care like how much DSA you have covered. They'll just ask your introduction, they'll ask you a few questions, and they won't make you write the code in your interview. So for those companies, even if you prepare for 10-15 days and appear for the interview, there are chances that you would be able to clear it if you have a good communication and a decent project. That's it. That is the maximum that you need for a company to crack a company between 7 to like 3 to 7 LPA. And for gate, you have multiple options. As I said, third year and fourth year, you can devote your time and prepare accordingly. Like I have not prepared for gate, and gate was never there in my list. But for many people, I know many of my friends who have attempted for gate, and they started preparing very early. Like you have 3-4 months of time. That is the minimum that you need to prepare for getting a good rank in gate. So you can like make up your mind which side you want to join. If you're clear that you want to do gate, study on that, focus on that, and try even if your first attempt of gate is not that great, you can always there is always a second chance to attempt for gate. That's it.
Thank you, Bhaiya, for answering that. One question from the job searches are often filled with ups and downs. Could you share some of the biggest challenges you faced in your search for jobs and internships, and what advice will you give to the students? The you are muted.
Yeah, so for internships, you'll mostly find all the opportunities in your second year only. I think from my experience, I wish I would have started, finding internships in my second semester only, because in Angel List and in Internshala and all these websites, you do get, very low paying internship offers. I will never suggest you to do an unpaid internship, because you should be getting some money to do the job. So I wish I would have started, finding internships in my second semester only, but I had started in like fourth semester, and from at that time I was mainly applying through well found, and I was targeting all the startups, because as I said that they do shortlist based on the technology. So I was mainly targeting for web development internships. I was getting shortlisted in some of the companies, and then they give you a project and you have to make that project in whatever time frame that they have given, and after that they take maybe one interview. So I was applying and I was getting rejected also. So then I stopped applying for internships and focused all of my time in doing DSA. In I think in fifth semester only, there usually is many programs for different companies. Like there is one program for Atlassian, I forgot what it's named. Then there is one program for Walmart, and then you'll also get program for Amazon. So try to keep your eye on when application opens for these programs. So I had applied to Walmart and Amazon, and for Walmart I had cleared the OA round, but they never proceeded with the interview because of the recession. And for Amazon I did get further details. So if you want to, you want to do an internship, then try applying as soon as you can. Even if you are getting very small companies interning, you are in a very small companies, even if it is a part time internship, if you can add it in your resume, it will give your resume a bit higher value than other people who have no yeah people who have no work experience. You will have some edge over those people. So yeah, I was mainly applying for internships in second year, and most of the companies hire for internships at that time only. So if you want to do an internships, some people also, there are also openings in third year also, but they are very less as compared to in second year, because for the companies they hire 1 year prior and then they ask you to join in the next year. So that is how it is for internships. As for the off campus placements, what was the question, can you repeat?
Nothing specific. Like I just ask,
Yeah,
like
you
what
had
are the
asked.
challenges? What are the challenges you faced in your internship, searching for jobs and internship? It was simple.
Okay, so for searching for job, it's mostly rejection and not getting shortlisted. That is the main challenge that you will face as a tier 3 student, and also in some cases getting referrals. Because if you do see an opportunity, and what I used to do mainly was find, if I see a company has openings, I used to find at least text 5 to 10 people on LinkedIn and give them the job ID and my resume, that this is the opening, can you please refer for me. Out of the those 10 15 people, maybe 2 or 3 will reply, and out of those people maybe one will refer you. So yeah, try contacting as many people as you can, because most of the people who are already working in the companies, they're not even using LinkedIn every day, so they might not see your message. So, and in many cases it used to happen that I am asking for referrals at night, and by the time that they were giving referrals, the opening was gone, so I couldn't apply. So yeah, these are some of the things that you will face while applying. And yeah, as I said, rejection is one of the main motivation crushing things that you will face while applying for off campus interviews and openings. So don't, yeah, it is, you will get sad, but do not be bothered by it for so long that it affects your preparation or it affects your further plan. So keep a plan, shortlist a list of companies that, okay, these are my priority companies, these are, maybe I'll join these companies, and try to contact as many employees from there. Because in some cases it is also possible that some teams also have internal openings. So if you maybe contact 5 to 10 people from a company, and even if one of them are having internal openings from team, then you have a higher chance of getting an OA link and getting shortlisted. So yeah, these are all some of the things that you can keep on mind if you're hunting for jobs off campus.
Thank you, Dee. Thank you so much for that detailed explanation and going deep into the things, picking out small things, the very minute things which we need to focus. A question from Bhaiya. It is one of the last questions from our end, and we'll be picking up questions from the chats and DMs. Bhaiya, how to decide between which particular domain or tech stack should one follow? Like, and when should the domain related preparation be started after exploring a question from there? Uh, uh, like once when a student enters in first or second year, or most probably sometimes in third year,
Hmm.
that person is completely cluttered that web dev seems very easy, it seems interesting, let's go into that. Or ML is the most superficial, let's go into that. Or app dev is very rare, let's go into that. How that person will decide on the basic steps, like which which tech stack should he opt for?
See, it completely depends upon you. Like, it is your choice what you want to pursue. Based, like, if you don't have any background, then what is suggested is web development because it is the easiest thing to start on. Like, after learning programming and DSA and stuff, you will be finding web development a little easy and something that you can see working. Like, whatever you code, you can see the output on your website, like web page, you can see whatever you're trying to add. So again, this happens with everyone, almost everyone. All of us will have to decide what feels comfortable to you, what is something that you are starting, like what is something that gains your interest. Suppose some people are there who have some background, they've heard something about ML and they're very interested about it. So start doing research for that domain and try to understand how this works. So if you're getting interest, then move ahead. If you're not getting the interest in that domain, then leave that domain there only, because it is not important to get into something which is not making interest to you. So if you have no idea where to start from, what I would suggest is invest some time in learning all of these one by one. Pick up and try to understand what is the base structure of it. You can watch videos how ML works, how AI works. You will have 10-15 minutes videos. Try to watch 4 or 5 videos of it. Try to make some notes and try to see what you are able to understand from that. Like, from your list, what is something that you're making sense to you. If it is helping you out in some way, then you can research more about it. But if it is not helping you in any way, then you can switch to different domain. So for every one of us, like in college also, you'll be learning different these web subjects. Like, you'll have cloud computing, you will have some other subjects. For AIML also, you'll have subjects. So from that curriculum, something might just click you. It happens with me. Like, there was a subject called NLP, natural language processing. And I was when I was researching about my project, what should I, like, say for example, if you have any idea in your mind, so you can start with that idea and start research about that particular thing, that particular idea. So you will get a lot of things, that a lot of tech stack that you can work on, a lot of these different automation, NLP, ML, AI. You have these multiple options. So your idea will collide with one of these, and then from that you can pick up that particular top domain and start working on it. So there is always one start point. You need to figure out that one start point, what is hitting you, what is making you fall for that domain. So you know there is no point that I can explain you ki this is the domain that you should go for. It is always you who will decide after researching it, or after some points, like when you're preparing, you'll get something from there and take that and then start diving more into it. And if you have nothing to start from, research about all of these one by one. Take 1 or 2 days to research about each of these domains, and then find your interest and move ahead. That's the simplest way I can answer it.
It was completely logical and completely detailed. It was so clearing the, like, diving into something, exploring that, getting to know how much interest it brings to you, and deciding on that. It's completely person, as you said, like how what interest. There's nothing like a particular tech stack is better.
Yeah.
That's what you said. Okay, but yeah, one more question to you about the Oracle interview rounds. As you said that there was a very less time between multiple rounds,
Mhm.
and you saw many of your friends getting rejected, like someone is getting rejected, someone very you might be shocked that, oh, he or she has been rejected, what will happen to me, it might come into your mind.
Yeah.
So how did you control your mind about that? How did you say it, no, I have to stay focused, I can go for that no matter what time I have.
Okay. So I'll share an incident what happened on the day of the interview. Like we were given this introduction for 1 hour where they were explaining about the company, and then all the people who have cracked the OA were talking to each other. So one of the person asked me that, hey, how is your preparation? So I said, I've decently prepared. And then he asked that, hey, see, I've not prepared OS. I have not prepared this fundamental subject. So what should I do? I won't be able to crack it. They'll ask this question. I've seen in most of the interview rounds, they ask from this. They ask Java a lot. Like Oracle works on Java, so a lot of questions are there from Java. So I'm from C++. They are not going to select me. So if you're demotivated, again you're lost there. Only you have lost the battle without even battling. So it's very important to have a clear mindset that whatever you have prepared is your zone, and they are going to ask from there only. And whatever you have not prepared, just forget about it, and you can simply say that this is something that I've not prepared. I'm not able to get into this topic, but however I've prepared these topics. These are my strong points. So when your mindset is clear with that, then the interview becomes easy for you. Ki I'm there to crack this interview, and I will do it because whatever I've studied it well. So you should trust your preparation. That is the first step. Second step, forget about things that you have not prepared. And third, be very smart with picking what you are learning. Like whatever you have learned, be very smart. Like in fundamental subject, there are many subjects like OOPS, DBMS, computer networks, operating system, and there are a few more subjects. Like if you want, cloud is also there. So there are so many subjects. Now pick up subjects which are strong for you. Like for example, OOPS and DBMS are priority subjects. You should not miss these two subjects. Then comes operating system, then comes computer networks. So if you prioritize your fundamental subjects, then your preparation is the most for DBMS and your preparation is most for OOPS. So if they're going to ask from these domains, I'm going to answer them right away. But if they're going to ask me questions from computer networks, I'm going to clearly mention that hey, I was not able to prepare computer networks, but I have prepared OOPS and DBMS. So there are chances that for one question, like you have completely eradicated the chances of further questions being asked from computer networks, because you've clearly on the first question mentioned that you have not prepared computer networks that well. So the interviewer is going to shift to the other two subjects that are remaining. So be smart with that. You should have options given to the interviewer as well. You cannot say that I've completely not prepared fundamental subject. Instead, prepare something. And like there is also one thing that you can prepare only the top interview questions from that subject. So if easy question is being asked, you can answer that. If they go deep into it, then you can say that I've not prepared it that well. So in this way, you can tackle the interview in your way. Like whatever you have prepared, the interview would revolve around that. So you should be very smart in picking up questions, in answering the questions in such a way that the follow-up question is also from the same domain. Like what happens is, if they go into OOPS, they ask you all the 4 pillars of OOPS, and then you start explaining it to them. You explain one by one each of them. Then there are high chances that they'll ask from one of the pillars. They'll tell you to explain that. elaborate that. So most of the follow-up questions are based on what you've already answered. So if you follow these steps, interview would be easy for you. And again, I've mentioned this, communication is really very important. Like you should be able to communicate whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, you should be able to communicate that well. So in this way, you will have a positive mindset. You should not focus on what you have not studied, focus on whatever you have studied, and the interview is going to be about that. That's it.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Thank you. One common question to both of you. Like it's a very common question. How to revise DSA?
Sheets.
For revising DSA, what I used to do is not for array or linked list at least, but for the tougher topics like tree, binary search tree, graphs, and what else is there? DP. So all of these have some patterns, especially
Mm.
graph and DP. All of those have patterns. Even if you, so as I said, I studied from Striver's playlist.
Yeah.
So he also teaches the questions in the patterns. So I used to have two, three copies for at least these topics. I had copies for tree, graph, and DP. I used to, solve questions pattern wise. And as I was studying, I used to note down the important points. Like if my interview is tomorrow and I want to, go through graphs today, then I can just, go through my copy and read all the important points so that I do not have to go to YouTube and, watch the video again. So it
Mm.
is a good practice to make notes of whatever topics that you're studying. I used to find array and linked lists very easy, so I didn't really make notes of them. And there
Mm.
are also some questions that are very like asked, like make a queue using two stacks, make a stack using two queues. So these are some of the tricky questions that you need to at least revise once before going to the interview. So make notes of these questions. And whenever I used to solve questions in GLG or lead code, and if there was any question that took some time, and if it had some kind of solution that will require me to take a look before going to the interview, I used to just write down the approach and code in my copy. And before going to the interviews 2 3 days ago, even if I'm traveling, I could revise it. So before Amazon's interview, while I was traveling, while I was in the train, the entire time I was revising questions. So yeah, it is a good practice to keep notes of DSA.
Thank you for that. Thank you for answering that question. People must be revision is also a very important part, and people start learning and coding. In my personal experience, also it's very much like maths. Once you start doing it, and after a month, you jump into that. Oh, ye kya tha? What did I do? How did it happen? Then from
Yeah.
the very scratch, you start figuring out and all. So it takes time.
Yeah.
So there must be you must we must finalize a particular path for on personal basis how to
Mm.
revise that, because we can't really go and again revise, invest much time on revising.
Especially
Yep.
graph and DP has a lot of patterns. So if you start studying for everything just before the interview, it will be a mess. And either you will
Exactly.
be able to give all of your time to one topic and you will miss other topics. So please make notes, especially for graph and DP. Even for tree and BST, I would suggest to make notes. And then there are also some algorithms which are like usually asked in all the interviews. So make note of those algorithms. And these are some of the algorithms that you will not be able to figure out by yourself. You'll need to read it once before going to the interview to know the solution if the questions is asked from that. So yeah, just make a note. It is the easiest way to revise.
Really,
Yeah,
thank
just to add on it, like whenever you're starting revision of your DSA, you can go through the sheets like Striver sheet or any sheet, and then you can, like, you have the map, like these questions are in a structured way, and for each of the question, as Ankita said, you might have some notes or you might have coded it somewhere. So there you can go. Like in Lead Code and GFG, you have options to add notes for that question. So
Yeah.
there also with your coding, you can add something, some of the insight that you find that this part was tricky or something, you can mention it over there. And the best way is having notes for tough questions or the questions where you face difficulty. You should have notes with you, but that will give you a structure.
thank you, Bhaiya. A question for you,
Yeah.
because I mentioned that I have finished the basic of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. What kind of projects would you recommend to build my React skills and increase my job prospects?
Uh, I have not really worked on React if Ankita wants to take that question.
Yeah, so if you have learned React and HTML, CSS, JavaScript, so I would suggest first make one or two basic vanilla JavaScript projects so that you get a good hang of using JavaScript and get a hang of the syntax of JavaScript. Because in some interviews they'll ask you if you are. It happens in startups if you are applying for a role of web development and if they ask you a DSA question, they'll probably ask you to solve the DSA question in JavaScript also, because they'll say that if you cannot solve a DSA question in JavaScript, how are you going to do the job? So yeah, get a hang of JavaScript. HTML, CSS is pretty intuitive, and you can like some companies also allow you to Google some of the syntaxes while giving the interviews. But for JavaScript, get a hang of the syntax, and after that, if you make 2 3 vanilla JavaScript projects, you'll get a hang of JavaScript, and then start making some basic React projects. Like, I'm not asking you to make all the good projects so that you can add all of them in your resume. Make some projects just for your practice, and once you make one or two basic React projects, if you are mainly focusing on front end development and you do not want to study the back end development and MongoDB and the entire MERN stack, and just want to focus on React, then make some projects that is using some API. There are many open source APIs, so make a website. Maybe, for example, you can make a news website which is taking data from news org. There is an API, and at least so that if you the what whoever sees your project can know that you know how to fetch data from API, how you can do all the four calls, and you can show whatever data. Because even in companies, if you are working as a UI developer, you will not be required to do the backend job. Backend will do the job. They'll give you maybe an endpoint or a data source, and you'll have to get the data from there and show it in a way that designers are expecting you. So if you're mainly focusing on front end, these are one or two projects that you can focus on. Few vanilla JavaScript projects, some projects that only use React, and you're maybe using a local JSON or something, and then you can make one or two projects that is using an external API.
Thank you, Dee,
Just,
for
just
answering
to
that.
add on to that, this API thing is valid for any of the web development things, like not
Yeah.
just React. It is not limited to React. You can use APIs in Python, Django, anywhere you want, and that is a added advantage. Like someone was asking, what is the wow factor in web development if you have simple projects? Then there you can use these APIs. You can show that you have used an API to fetch the data and then you have processed it further. So that is a good practice.
Yeah.
Also, I could see a question. Oracle focuses on which data structure in coding round. So, for no companies, it is mentioned that this particular data structure is something that they focus on a lot. But for Oracle OA round, I remember there were this advanced coding questions, MCQ questions, and that was purely based on trees. Like there were 25 questions, and out of that, 22 to 23 questions were from trees only, and 2 3 questions were there from array and others. Yeah, DSA. So for that, for Oracle, there is nothing as specific, but you should know trees and then dynamic programming and the basic stack queues. Even if you are not well prepared with graphs, then you can just go through the standard problems of graph. I think that would be enough for you.
Even in interviews, many questions were asked from linked list and trees, so they do
Yeah.
focus on these topics a lot. So yeah.
Thank you, Dee and Bhaiya, for answering that. One very common question, have already answered that, but it comes from a third year student, Priya. How to manage stress during the interviews? Like many a times, it happens that even if we know the solutions quite well, we could not explain it clearly to interviewer due to stress and nervousness. How to tackle this?
Okay, so first of all, for this, mock interviews help a lot. If you have a very important interview, I would encourage all of you to at least 10 days prior try to do one mock interview every day. So you get in the habit of, if you can find someone who is a senior or someone you are not really friends with and do a mock interview with them, then that will be an added advantage. Then you'll have a practice of facing an unknown person in an interview. Secondly, in the interview, mostly if the interviewer is good, they'll make you comfortable enough so that you will be in the right peace of mind to answer the questions. And there will be some pretty bad interviewers, but it is the interviewer's fault. But most of the good interviewers, they'll try to make you accommodated and comfortable enough. You'll still be a little bit scared and will be nervous, but at least you'll be able to answer the questions. So practice is the even if you do not want to join a company, just give the interview, to build confidence. Even if you're getting rejected, just give the interview, give as many interviews as you can. That will build a lot of confidence. And then if you are talking to random people and strangers a lot of times, then you will really not be that stressed or nervous in your important interviews.
Yeah, like it happened with me in my first round of interview only. The interviewer's first question was, "How are you?" And I said I was nervous. I'm nervous and I'm stressed. So then the interviewer took that. She was a very sweet and humble interviewer. So she firstly introduced herself. Then she explained about how many years of experience she has. And then she tells me, "Now it's your turn. Now you introduce." So after
Yeah.
that, she took that interview in such a nice way that I was so comfortable. I was able to explain everything. So it depends
Yeah.
on the interviewer. It's first, and secondly, mock interviews help a lot. And the third thing, if you are stuck in an easy question, you're saying something like that was the question. What if I get stuck in a particular question? Then what should I do? Okay, so for this, I would say if in an interview you are given a question that you're not very confident about, try to firstly find the steps to the solution. Like it's not directly jump onto the code. Try to firstly write the steps. Like an algorithm that I said, you can just write the steps that these steps will lead me to the solution. And if you're stuck there only, the interviewer will give you some hints, some feedbacks. So you can take that hints and then go to the solution. Like proper solution if you're not able to, like interviews generally they help in an interview if you're stuck at some point, so they will guide you, they'll give you some insights, some clues to get to the solution. But if you are completely stuck and if you're not able to process it, then I think it's better to just clearly mention it that you're not able to think what is the next step, rather than wasting your time and the interviewer's time. So it's better in some cases, if you are stuck at the initial step, they might just change the question. And if you are not able to reach the complete solution, but whatever you have written above it is correct and making sense, then there are chances that you might just qualify for the interview without even solving the entire question. So that is also
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, just add on to that. Whenever you are stuck in a question, like if you read a question and you cannot figure out anything, try to think of all the data structures that you have studied. You
Yes,
can, like, can we use DP here? No. Can I use tree here? No. Can I use binary search here? Maybe. Then try to think of a solution that how will I try to incorporate binary search in this solution? Because this had happened with me in my Amazon interview. They had asked a question that I wasn't really prepared for. So this is how, like, my mind was working at that time. Can I use this? No. Can I use this? Maybe I can use this. Then I kind of cooked up a solution in my brain, and I just said it to the interviewer that I am thinking of doing this and this. Do you think it will work? And he said that just write the code. And so then I was sure that okay, this is the solution, this is the correct way that I am going. So yeah, keep your communication clear with the interviewer. They are
exactly.
not there to reject you. Like, if
Yeah,
if even if they are giving you hints 2 or 3 times and you are able to properly incorporate them and get to the solution and write the code correctly, tell them the time complexity and space complexity, they will not mind giving hints. So do not
exactly.
be afraid of do not directly just ask for the hints. Try to think of the solution for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes. But as the interview time is very limited, you should see that okay, if I do not ask a hint at this point, I'll just not be able to solve this question the rest of the interview. So that will just be a negative. So it is better to ask for a hint rather than just getting stuck in the question.
Yes.
Thank you, D, and thank you, Bhaiya, for this like detailed explanation of that particular thing. Bhaiya, an informal, but yeah, and maybe some creative question from you. What was the role of deciphers in your college life in getting you to a level? And everyone sees your dance and performances. Also, Vidhi Mantri from current fourth year has carried your legacy, being from
Yes.
disciples and getting the best in rifle. So kindly share some
Uh,
insights on that.
Firstly, deciphers and your coding placements do not have any link. Let me clarify that. Secondly, yeah, your dance has something like which I was passionate about from even joining before the college. So I was one thing that I was very clear when I was coming to the college that I want to join the dance club first thing first, and then later on placements and these things will happen in your life. So you should also have this motivation with you, like something co-curricular activities, be it sports, be it dance, be it singing, whatever is there. If you are good at something, then you should try to explore that in your college life, because this college life comes to you only once. So yeah, that's how deciphers happened to me, and I was taking the legacy forward in my third year as well, and I was doing my dance with my studies. So dance was like I left it before the placements because placements were important. But after getting placed, like the company came in July only, and I was placed in July. And after that, I had so much time with me left. So what would I do? I was just participating in different college fests and performing there and winning there, and that's how this journey became. And deciphers were there with me along with my placement journey. And after deciphers, I've came to college, this office corporate, and here we have another club. Dance club is there, and that's called Oraclers. For Oracles, we have Oraclers as dance club, and we perform here also. There are fests happening. Like recently, we had an year-end fest. There we performed. So yeah, it's always good to have an extracurricular activity with your studies.
Thank you, Bhaiya. Like maintaining and having your passion and having your hobby together does not hamper your studies and all.
Yep.
This will be clear.
Yeah.
Okay, no more questions from my side. If anyone has any questions, you can unmute yourself, and we will take three questions from you. If anyone has any question, be precise, and you can unmute. Just three questions from you, and we'll be finishing. You can unmute and or write in chat. We need to wrap it up.
Yeah. And if you have any further questions still after the session, then you can like DM us on our LinkedIn. You like Ayush can share our LinkedIn profile with you guys, so you
Yes,
can
definitely. I'll
share.
share the links. One question is from a first year student. I was from ICSC board school and I had Java as the main programming language. It would be really good if you could suggest some important or most asked portion that interviewers from Oracle ask in general.
See, as I said, there is nothing like a company-based thing. There is a set of questions like sheets that we are talking about here a lot, Striver's SD sheet or Love Bubber sheet. So those give you a hint of the standard problems that are there in DSA. So DSA has a limited questions, which are limited in the sense of limited standard questions. And apart from that, whatever questions comes in are just an exaggeration or some tweakness in the question, and then new questions are formed. But the patterns remain the same. So there are few patterns for each of the data structures that you study. So if you're well versed with those patterns, you'll be able to solve the question. So just try to follow any sheet, Striver sheet, LoveWebber sheet, any sheet that will help you to prepare well for each of the data structures and be well known with the patterns that are there in the data structures.
Thank you, Bhaiya. And I'll share the LinkedIn profiles of Bhaiya and Didi there. In the community itself, you can go and ask your questions. Also, if you don't have how to improve communication if an introvert, Didi, seen they have already said that you can go for mock interviews. It would be
Yeah.
really helpful.
If it is very difficult to you to talk to people, just try practicing
Mirror.
alone. Yeah,
Yeah,
just open the question, just keep it in your mind that you're in an interview and think that an interviewer is sitting there and try to explain the solution. And
exactly.
yeah, then the next step will be a mock interview, because in the end a person will be taking the interview, so you'll have to make yourself comfortable enough to appear for the interviews.
You should start practicing in front of a mirror if you feel like if you're like you've stuck, even if your introduction is something that you feel like you're hesitating to introduce yourself, then you can start speaking out in a room in front of a mirror and then see to it, or make videos. The best way is make a video of yourself, like you can record yourself and see how many times you're stucking to answer one question. So in that way it will help you to gain your communication skills. And most importantly, if you are an introvert, still try to talk to people around you, like who are following the same thing. Like in your college, most of the people are focused on like not most of the people, but many you'll find people who are focused on placements. So you can talk to them, you can talk about what are they preparing, try to have a generic conversation in English, have mock interviews. These things help. That's it.
Okay. What is the next thing? Okay. No more questions from anyone. So at last we will be just asking and two things from Bhaiya and Didi. Just at last, you just please uh, give a finishing note on the suggesting especially the third year students, because fourth years they are done with their things. Especially the third year students, what should be they doing in the 7 months, the basic, like whatever that's the suggestion, because it's their real time now. It's the high time for us. And also and a piece of advice for this community, like what can we do, what can we do more, what can we do more for the students, and how can we improve.
Ankita, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. So for third years, right now, I think the placements start from July, right? So you have 6, 7 months right now. So even if you haven't started DSA till now, okay. So college placements, I would be honest, like there are not many companies who will be focusing very much on DSA. Like they will be asking very basic questions, like very basic programming questions. All the 5, 6 LPA companies that come, they ask very basic programming questions. So you can just go through the previous year questions of these companies and practice from that. But if you are aiming for a good placement, and if you are planning to apply for off campus, and even in on campus, if you are planning to go into good companies like Lexmark and Oracle, both focus on DSA. So you'll need to know DSA if you want to crack these companies. So even if you haven't started till now, like to learn DSA, you'll require at least 6 months. So there's still time if you devote your time from this month or maybe from January, then you can learn enough DSA to crack coding interviews. So it is not too late to start yet. And I would highly encourage everyone to, opt for and, aim for better placements instead of, just wanting the bare minimum whatever you can get in college. If you try applying outside of the college, you'll get a lot of exposure. You'll also learn a lot about yourself and your skills. And if you end up achieving something, that will be a huge confidence boost for you, that yeah, I can do this on my own, even if the college does not provide a lot of good companies. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It means like you should start. If it's not never too late to start on your DSA and coding journey, and if you are in your pre-final year, then you have 6 months. So you can start. If you have not worked on any of your projects yet, you can start working on something you can develop of your own. So that is always recommended to have one of your own personal projects. So you can start over there. And like what I did in this year was I went to LinkedIn. I was searching. You can go to LinkedIn and you can search for different internships and uh, placements right now only, because from this time you can find different companies who are hiring. Even not if not for full time, you can get internships during this time. And if you're focused like for your college placements, then again, as Ankita mentioned, there are only 2 3 good companies who ask DSA, and other companies you can just focus on like very basic questions such as time complexity related questions for different algorithms. These type of simple questions are asked by other companies. So if you're willing to prepare well for off campus, then work on your projects and work on your DSA. That's it. These are the two important things that you should focus on during this time.
Yeah. And I would highly recommend Striver's playlist. So if you are
Absolutely.
thinking about that O3 is too hard for me or DP is too hard for me, just go and watch his entire playlist. You will not find it hard anymore. I would highly recommend it.
Yes, even I prepared from Striver's playlist. It is one of the best thing out there for DSA. For DSA, I think Striver's sheet and Striver's playlist are the two things that you can follow blindly. You don't have to go anywhere else
Yeah.
to work on it.
Yeah.
No more questions from anyone's end. So like we'd be finishing it up now. Bhaiya and Didi, first of all, thank you so much for taking 2 hours out of your busy schedule. Bhaiya is still sitting in office going to play badminton, and he has completely taken out time of his office, dance, hobbies, and everything for us, for the college, for the community, even if he's passed out. So thank you for that, and thank you, Didi, for taking a time. Actually, we reached out to you, and also thanking for bringing in Shourya Bhaiya to there. So it was a really beautiful session there, quite dynamic. As someone who is the peak of success from on campus, as someone is peak of success of off campus. So it was dynamic, it was beautiful, and it was so beneficial for all of us. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you everyone who joined. uh, in this community of 1200 members. We hope we'll have sessions like that. We'll bring seniors like that, like bhaiya, our beloved seniors like Ankita Di and Shaurya bhaiya to you. uh, Thank you Di, thank you bhaiya, and thank you everyone for joining the session. uh, Bhaiya, anything to add, or you'd like to add for this community, like for the GDG-IEM?
Uh, yeah, Ayush, you're doing a great work. I think none of such communities were there at our time who used to
Yeah,
arrange
true.
such sessions. So I think you're doing a great work for bringing seniors and making a contact between them. For us, what happened was we need to find our seniors and talk to them personally. And here you are inviting these many people. They all can have a conversation with us. They all can ask their questions, ask their doubt directly here. And for our time, it was very difficult to find people who will genuinely help you with your placements and stuff. So it's a good job that you guys are doing this. And yeah, apart from this, what else, Ankita, if you want to add anything?
Thank you
One
bhaiya.
thing I would like to add is that it once the placement season will start, the atmosphere around you may make you
Changes.
think that you are, aiming too high. Because I clearly
Mm.
remember when TCS came to our college for the first time and many people got placed there, everyone was very happy with, which is good for them for getting happy for getting placed in the first round of placements. But for me it felt like that maybe I am aiming too high, maybe I should also be, join the group and be happy with whatever the college is offering. So do not get demotivated at that time, because if you want to get a good placement, that is totally and your decision and that is your path to follow. So do not get, demotivated by people around you. That is my only advice.
Also, just to add on to that, find people with similar goals. Like what
Yeah.
happened, Ankita and I, both of us were there in the same track. Like once we started talking, we knew that we both are learning DSA, we are there in certain level, and then we started interacting to each other, and then we found that both of us have similar goals. Both of us are not going to settle for anything less, and there is nothing wrong in settling for anything less. You should always like dream for the best, and
Yeah.
that's what will motivate you to work harder than others, and research more about, as she did. Like she interned for Amazon, so she found that, like, and she again now she's sitting in Flipkart and having such a amazing journey of her own. So you should never settle for something less than what you feel like you can achieve. So that's a great advice from her.
Ayush, I have shared some links in the chat. You can
Okay,
also
Di.
post them maybe in the community. So,
Sure.
Wellfound was one of the sites that I mainly used for off campus placements and internships. There, you get legit companies, and you will also get shortlisted there if your resume and skill level is good. And apart from that, these are all the companies that provide remote jobs. And this YC Combinator basically posts jobs of all the newly funded startups by Y Combinator. So, yeah, maybe you can try applying from there if you do not know from where to start.
Okay, Di, I'll share with the community itself. Anything to add? Any questions? We are finishing it up. It is, we planned it for 1.5 hours, but इतना ही अच्छा था कि वो 2 घंटे तक हो गया. Okay, guys. Thank you
We are
so
there
much.
for the last. We are there for the last 5 minutes. If anyone has any questions, they can ask,
Yes,
and we can ask.
definitely. And also, uh, किसी को सर्टिफिकेट चाहिए हो फर्स्ट ईयर सेकंड ईयर, तो just go and fill that form. It's for you. It's not of our benefit.
Okay, so I had one question. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I had one question that is it a disadvantage if I am from non-core branch, like some sort of specialization branch, like I am from computer science and business system. So is it a disadvantage during placements?
Not at
No, mostly companies are, allow, like if you are talking about on campus companies, they mostly allow everyone. Oracle, I think, allows IT, CSE, and EC, all
easy.
three branches.
Yeah.
Not sure about Lexmark, but if you are asking about off campus, they do not really
Yeah.
care what branch you are from.
So you are saying that on campus they prefer CSE and IT, like good companies like Oracle.
CSE, IT, and EC.
EC, all the three branches can apply. Now that the branches are split, like CSE is split into multiple sections, but still all the CSE people would be applicable to sit for
Yeah.
placements. For all
And
the branches are applicable. Yeah.
okay, and what is the CGPA criteria that they mention? Is there anything like
Uh,
that?
Try to Yeah, some companies have. I do not remember about Oracle. I think it was how much CGPA?
7. So you should have
7,
above
right?
7. 7 is like
Yeah.
you can easily attain a 7 CGPA. You should
I
make it.
think after 7 you will be eligible for all of the
Or
companies.
yeah, and
Yeah.
if you have anything in mind as such, like there are some companies who might just ask you for a better CGPA. So 8 is the bare minimum. Like if you want to opt for all the companies out there, if you have a 8 CGPA, that's very good. But 7 is the bare minimum. If you have 7, you can
Yeah.
apply for every company. After
Or
that, CGPA
you
doesn't matter.
okay.
Yeah.
Or if some case I get a backlog, is that a disadvantage?
I mean, if
Backlog should be
while
cleared
you're,
before the placement. Yeah.
yeah, before placement, if it is cleared, it's not a disadvantage. They ask for
Okay.
that there should not be any active backlogs.
Active backlogs. Yeah.
Okay. And why you don't choose any? I mean, course for your preparing for your placements. You just go online and research there.
See,
Yeah,
to
because
answer
yeah, yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
to answer your question, it is completely your choice. If you feel like you want to go for some course and that will give you more structure to your studies, go for it. But right now, what is the current scenario is in DSA, everything is already covered. Everything is available on the internet without even purchasing any particular course. So if you, what you want to learn and you want to structure. So if you're getting the structured thing online for free, then I don't think there is a need for a course. That is my personal choice. But if you feel like you want to go for a course that is promising your placement, then it's your wish. No harm in that.
Yeah.
Okay. And apart from Striver, any YouTube channel or playlist you guys recommend?
I would recommend one guy for just one particular topic that I learned from him. I learned recursion from Kunal Kushwaha. Kunal
Yeah.
Kushwaha's recursion video was something that I loved, loved, loved. That cleared all my doubts regarding recursion because recursion is something that builds up to DP. So if you're
Yeah.
good at recursion, then you're good. You're going to be good at DP. So that was something I followed from him. And then there are some other channels also, like
For
for
Oops,
Oops.
also you can follow Kunal Kushwaha. His Oops playlist is also very good.
Yeah.
Okay, I am done. I rest my case. Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, someone mentioned how to manage midsem exam examinations. well, well answered by Ankita. I think that's more than enough. Like for endsem examination, you can prepare for 1 or 2 days before, and you get all those, question banks. So just mug up that. Even if you're not mugging up that, you have other ways to pass the examination. I think we
Yeah.
should not disclose that here.
I am a living example.
I remember very well what happened.
Yeah, so for midsem examinations, I don't think they really care how much
Yeah.
you're scoring in midsems. If you really want to study the subject, then you can go ahead. But for endsem examinations, they do. In our time, at least, we were getting a 180
Question.
question bank,
Hmm.
and all of the questions were from there only. So 1 or 2 days before is good enough.
Yes. Does year gap between 12th and college interfere during interview? No, it doesn't matter.
Like in the college, I think there is a criteria that you should not be having more than 2 gap years, but if you have under 1 or 2 year 2 gap year, then companies like you are eligible for all the companies. Okay, I think that is it.
Yeah.
Okay, Ayush, thank you so much for having us, and thank you, Priya, for reaching out.
So much, P. Thank you so much, Priya.
Yeah. Okay, then please reach out to us on LinkedIn if you have any more doubts. We'll be happy to help.
Yes.
Okay, there had been some technical glitch from Ayush side. So
Yeah, yeah.
on behalf of the community, I'm wrapping up the session. Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you for having here and for sharing the invaluable insights. Okay,
Thank you guys for joining.
thank you. Thank you all for attending it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
there is one other guy. I think he's asking. I am from ECE. I am into robotics. Can I also get some internships now? Yeah, if you can find some job openings related to your field and you do get shortlisted, then you can get an internship. Like I think companies hire for interns as early as second semester. So I
Hmm.
think you can get if you can find some.
Just be very active on LinkedIn and Naukri. These are the platforms from where you will get idea about which company is hiring, and then you can go to their career page and apply for that. So yeah.
Okay, then thank you
Okay.
so much
Thank you
everyone
all. You
for
all can
joining.
start leaving.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you so
bye
much.
then.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.